Thank you for sharing this piece. It's a deeply moving, sharply observant account of betrayal, gaslighting, and self-reclamation. The writing style blends personal reflection with a strong narrative voice, building both emotional tension and clarity as Raina uncovers the truth layer by layer. If you're looking for feedback, here are a few strengths and suggestions. Strengths, voice, and tone. Raina's voice is compelling, balancing emotional vulnerability with a rising backbone of resolve. It's incredibly relatable for anyone who's experienced emotional labor within a family. Structure. The pacing is excellent. The initial scene draws us in with suspense, and the narrative unfolds naturally from there. Imagery and detail. The sensory descriptions, e.g., polished wood paneling, artificial cinnamon, the muted yellow haze, are vivid and immersive. Themes. The central themes of familial exploitation, erasure, and quiet awakening are powerful and universally resonant. Suggestions. Tightening repetition. Some moments or phrases, like those emphasizing the narrator being forgotten or used, could be trimmed slightly to enhance impact without overexposure. Shifts in tense. The narrative occasionally drifts between present and past tense. For consistency, consider sticking primarily with one. Ending arc. If this is leading toward a complete story or memoir piece, think about how the current path of evidence gathering might culminate. Legal action, confrontation, escape, etc. A hint of what's next could provide satisfying closure or set up a part 2. Certainly. Here's a rewritten version of your piece, preserving its raw emotion and narrative intensity while refining grammar, flow, and structure for clarity and dramatic impact. She had been basking in some unspoken role, something she was born into, not something she ever had to earn. I remember Antale, halfway through her second drink, nudging Darcy and laughing. "Hope you put something in the will for me, kiddo. You know I raised you just as much as your mom." Darcy smiled wide, raised her glass, and said, "Maybe I left you the silverware, family heirlooms, right?" Everyone laughed. I didn't. Something twisted in my gut. Not jealousy, not yet. Just a flicker of something colder. Darcy wasn't joking. Not completely. And no one found it odd that she, of all people, was the one being asked about the will. That was the first sign. I just didn't know it yet. Back in my apartment, I followed a sudden instinct and opened my laptop. I searched my inbox for anything tagged estate or LeWood Trust. One thread popped up, old, unread, forgotten, or maybe just unseen because I hadn't been meant to see it. Subject: Final copy, Elwood Family Living Will. Sender: Clayton S. McDana, attorney at law. I'd been CC'd, probably by mistake. I clicked. The document loaded slowly like it was preparing to punch me in the chest. The first page looked standard. Legalese, formatting, the seal I remembered from when Grandpa passed. Page 2 hit like a freight train. Line items, allocations, asset divisions. Darcy's name was in every paragraph. Jewelry, cars, financial instruments, property, everything with value, sentimental or otherwise, was tagged to her. My name wasn't there. Not once. Not even in the section titled Family Memorabilia. But it got worse. Buried on page 5 was a clause I didn't know existed. I read it once, twice, a third time. Any beneficiary who contests the contents or legality of this document forfeits any and all future standing, financial or social, as a member of the Elwood estate to the fullest extent permissible by law. Financial or social. They weren't just cutting me out of the inheritance. They were erasing me, disowning me without the ceremony, without confrontation, just paperwork, a clause buried under a brunch invitation and a silver-plated lie. I closed my eyes and let the silence fill me. They'd written me out, quietly, efficiently, like I was the family pet who ran away once and never made it home. No obituary, no phone call, just Gone. My breath came back in a steady rhythm. Controlled. Like something ancient had cracked, but instead of screaming, I sharpened. I opened my family ledger spreadsheet and labeled a new tab. Legal isolation. Evidence of premeditated exclusion. In the notes column, I typed brunch, May, estate joke, Darcy plus Antele. Attorney, Clayton McDana. Will clause, forfeit if contested. CC'd by accident, 9:42 a.m. timestamp. I copied the will to the folder. Took screenshots. Saved backups. This wasn't about feelings anymore. This was architecture. This was design. I stood and walked to the hallway mirror, the one I used before job interviews, before first dates, before every attempt at becoming the version of myself they wouldn't discard. No tears. Just eyes that had finally stopped blinking away the obvious. They don't want a daughter, I whispered. They want a vault with no opinions, no receipts. I let the sentence settle, then reached for my phone. I scrolled past old contacts, past family numbers, past Darcy's name, which I'd renamed months ago to Do Not Engage. I dialed Legal Aid of Kentucky. The line rang, steady and clear, until a voice answered. Legal Aid of Kentucky, how can we assist you? My name is Raina Elwood, I said calmly, and I'd like to report financial identity misuse within my immediate family. The call lasted 52 minutes. Rachel, soft-voiced but grounded, listened. Carefully, asked the questions I dreaded. When did you first notice the accounts in question? Can you verify your original signatures? Is there any indication of who may have impersonated you? I walked her through it. Spreadsheets, emails, transaction history, saved audio. She didn't sound shocked. Identity theft in families is more common than people think, she said. What's rare is someone brave enough to face it. Then she asked, Are there any other accounts you may have forgotten? I almost said no, but something made me pause. The loan. I hadn't thought about it in months, maybe years. A FAFSA form. A tax envelope in my name. I'd assumed it was a glitch. I hadn't applied to school in over a decade, but Darcy had. There was a week in 2020 when she swore she was going back for her RN license. She dropped out before midterms, said she wasn't made for classrooms. I'd let it go, like I let everything go. I searched my inbox, found it in seconds. Hi, Raina. This is Jod from Kentucky Financial Aid. Just confirming your co-signature for Darcy Elwood's student loan application. I'd ignored it, thought it was phishing. It wasn't. It was real. No gasp, no panic, just stillness. Darcy hadn't done that alone. There were calls, verifications, phone recordings. I called the number in the email, posed as a prospective student, asked how to review verification recordings from 2020. They transferred me to records. 10 minutes later, a PDF hit my inbox. I opened it, read the transcript, and there it was, my mother's voice. Not literally, but unmistakably hers. The rhythm, the tone, the pause before answering. Yes, I confirm that's my account. I've agreed to support my daughter's application. She hadn't just watched Darcy take from me. She helped her do it. I sat still, reached for my legal pad, and wrote in bold, ink-heavy strokes, "Love is not debt," then underlined it. Again. And again. An hour later, I was in my car. No music, no makeup, no warning. I drove straight to the house, same brick ranch, same wind chime I'd bought for Mother's Day 2 years ago. I knocked once and walked in. She was folding dish towels like the world wasn't burning down around her. "Raina," she said, "what a surprise." "Not really," I replied. "This has been coming." She opened her mouth to speak, but I laid the folder on the table with a quiet, final thud. "This is everything I've ever paid for," I said. "Every bill, every deposit, every quiet little rescue mission you pretended I offered when really you expected." I flipped to the transcript. And here's what you signed. Without me. She squinted, pretending not to understand. You posed as me to secure a loan for Darcy, I said. Then let her drop out and let the debt hang on my name. You helped her. Forge the signature. You helped her fake the call. Rye, it's not what you think. No, I said, cutting her off. It's exactly what I think. I stepped forward, calm and steady. You taught me that love means sacrifice, I said. But you taught Darcy something else. You taught her that love means debt, that if she needs something, someone else will pay. That if she lies, I'll stay quiet. Her lip trembled. I raised my hand. You say one more word, I said, and I walk out of here and straight to the district attorney. She froze. I have enough now to prove identity fraud, forgery, conspiracy. Her eyes welled. I don't want your tears, I said. I want the truth. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Silence for once. I picked up the folder, walked to the door, turned back only once, and this time I will press charges if I find one more charge in my name. Then I stepped outside into the evening. Sunset bands of orange and red streaking across the sky like it, too, had finally had enough. I walked in, flipped on the lamp, and sat at my desk. Calm, steady, no fuming, just movement. I opened my laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet I'd already been building in private, the one with every dollar I'd ever handed over like a beautiful servant no one bothered to thank. And this time, I finished it. Every transaction, dated, labeled, cross-referenced with receipts, tuition for Darcy's semester of pretending to be a nurse. Title, the invoice. I covered the deposit for Dad's truck tires, after he claimed. The bank froze his card. The emergency rent bump when Cole's girlfriend kicked him out and couldn't stomach a shelter. Grocery bills that mysteriously doubled when Mom didn't have time to shop before the holidays. Even the cruise for Blaze's birthday, the one she called a miracle gift from her husband, though his Venmo history never blinked. $11,680. 47. I exported it into a clean PDF. At the bottom, I added one bold line. Moving forward, all support will be invoiced. No emojis, no footnotes, just truth. Then I opened the old family group chat, the one they only used when they needed a babysitter, help moving a couch, or to pretend they cared during holidays. Attached the file. Subject, reimbursement request. Raina E., no preamble, no explanation. 10 seconds later, read ticks, Darcy, Dad, then silence, until buzz. A private message from Blythe. If you're doing this out of spite, you'll regret it. Don't forget what you've done. No punctuation. Just venom, dressed in motherly concern like cheap perfume. What had I done? Paid, covered, cleaned. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened the legal aid folder. Drafted the FTC identity theft affidavit. Dragged in the loan transcript. Attached the forged FAFSA call recording. Linked the financial aid contact. Then I filed the report. 2 hours later, the email came. Your case ID is 48629FAM. A fraud. Investigator will reach out within 72 hours. My hands were steady, until another alert pinged. IRS Fraud Division confirmation. New report filed against me. Claim, tax evasion, 2019. Allegation, falsified deduction. I knew exactly what. That was the year I paid their overdue property taxes, so they wouldn't lose the house. Filed it legally, kept the check copy, had it notarized, followed every rule. Now I was being accused. I didn't need to guess who did it. I knew her. Rhythm too well. This wasn't Darcy's move. This was Blythe's. No panic, no scream. I opened my tax file, compiled the receipts, notarization, and email from the county clerk. Forwarded them to my legal contact. No commentary, just facts. Then I opened my messages, scrolled past Blythe's threat disguised as guidance, and tapped Cole's name. Would you testify if needed? It took him nearly an hour to reply. I stared at the ceiling the whole time, shadows stretching across the walls like fingers trying to pull me back into silence. Finally, my phone lit up. Yes. Then another message. And I've got something else you should probably see. For the first time in years, I felt calm. Not because the war was over, but because I finally understood. This wasn't vengeance. It was accountability. And I wasn't alone anymore. The fallout next morning, I arrived at work 10 minutes early, shoes clicking softly across laminate as I passed the receptionist and slid into my cubicle. Inbox open. Subject: scheduled wellness check-in, HR meeting, 11 a.m. The language was off. Words like stability, support, and resources. If you're struggling, my stomach coiled. Then my supervisor stopped by. Smile too tight. Hey, Raina, just checking in. You've seemed a little off lately. Everything okay at home? My heart thumped once. Yes, I replied. Everything's fine. She nodded, but her eyes darted. She didn't believe me. And then it hit me. This wasn't concern. This was contamination. I remembered a colleague's odd question weeks ago. Your mom mentioned you've been withdrawn? I brushed it off. I shouldn't have. I pulled out my phone, texted, coffee today, noon, Barrow in Maine. Need to see what you meant. Colby replied in seconds. On my way. The screenshot. 11:45. I clocked out early. Walked 4 blocks to the coffee shop. Colby was already in the corner, hoodie tight over his face like he wanted to disappear. He slid his phone across the table. Open on a screenshot of a group. Chat I'd never seen. Fam Core. No Raina. Darcy. Raina won't show. She never does. Too dramatic. Blue. If she does come, just act surprised. Keep things light. Dad, we're not doing another Christmas 2018 scene. Darcy. Exactly. Just confuse her. She'll leave. I stared. Not surprised. Still, something sharp lodged behind my ribs. They didn't just hope I wouldn't come. They planned for it. Like packing an umbrella for a wedding. Just in case. Bring an excuse. Bring a lie. Colby looked down. I should have told you earlier. I didn't say anything. But I didn't stop it. I nodded. Are you ready to say that to a judge? He blinked. Then, yeah, I am. The Reckoning. That night, I compiled the final folder. Family Systems Documentation. Court Submission. Screenshots. Recordings. Receipts. Transcripts. I sent it to my attorney. Subject line, ready for submission. Then I went back to the group chat, the one I'd dropped the invoice into. This time I sent one message. You've told your story. Now I'll tell mine. Under oath. No reply. Then Darcy messaged, You really want to ruin everything over money? I typed back, I'm not ruining anything. I'm ending it. The dinner 10:03 a.m. sharp. Dinner, Friday, one last conversation. No pleasantries, no guilt-soaked emojis, just time and place. Colby picked me up early. I held the black folder like a declaration, but it wasn't mine this time. The house looked the same, preserved in Lysol and resentment. Blee opened the door with sugar in her voice. Well, this is a surprise. No, I said. You knew this was coming. I walked past her. The dining table still had the chipped lavender centerpiece. Dad sat at the end. Darcy leaned against the wall, arms crossed. I didn't sit. I opened the folder. These are the charges. Darcy scoffed. I kept reading. Federal student loan filed under my name without consent. Apartment lease defaulted. Name listed, Raina L. Wood. Not me. IRS deduction flagged. As fraudulent, paid by me. Identity theft complaint. Pending investigation. Silence. Darcy. Jesus, Raina. This is a witch hunt. No, I said. It's a record. Blee. If you file this publicly, you'll lose everything. The house, the trust, the family. I already filed, I replied, and I signed away my claim on the estate yesterday. Colby slid a check across the table. My half for the reunion dinner. I owed you. I nodded. Thank you. You were the only one who asked how I was doing, not what I could pay for. Darcy, pacing. You don't know what you're doing. You're throwing away decades over spreadsheets. I closed the folder. No, I'm finally walking out of a room that's been burning for years. I paused at the door. And next time you want someone to foot the bill, at least have the decency to invite them. The after. It's been 61 days since I walked out. I know, I counted. Now I sit on a wooden porch in Asheville, coffee in hand, peace in the air, silence that no longer scares me. I didn't block them. I didn't need to. Silence has its own momentum. Eventually, it maintains itself. I didn't regret pressing charges. I didn't chase retribution either. I wanted release. Colby texted me a photo. The old dining table, dismantled, left by the curb. No more pretending. They sold it. I typed back, let them. It never seated all of us anyway. Journal entry. I thought I'd miss them more, but I think I just missed the version of me who thought they loved me right. Blood is thicker than water, but respect is thicker than both. I'm no longer auditioning for roles I never agreed to play. That night, I saw a family post. Darcy looked different, her smile less rehearsed. The caption, "Some people grow through what they go through. Let her grow. Let them all. I had grown too, not around them, away from them. If you've ever walked away from family, not out of hate, but survival. If silence ever gave. You peace where guilt used to live, if love without respect ever tried to call itself tradition, you are not alone. You are not crazy. You are not difficult. You're simply awake in a system that counts on your silence. Tell me, where are you watching from? What part of this story hit home for you? Drop a 1 in the comments if even one sentence echoed inside you. Or share your own. And if not, that's okay too. Tell me why. We heal by being heard. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one.